another session of CAT Practice Booster. And in this particular session, you and I will sit down together and practice some paragraph-based questions. So, what do you have in mind before we start? Anything that you want to ask? Any doubt? Any question? Any concern? आज class होगी? Has the class started? Yes, it has. So, what else? What else? Do you have any question, or before I go on and start? So, the goal that we have today is, what happened? Why is it not streaming? Okay, it is streaming. Thank God. I thought that it is probably not streaming, and that is why some of you are asking about it. But now that it is streaming, we know that things are all right. Okay, so you and I, we sit down together and practice using this particular platform. So far, we have gone ahead and worked on critical reasoning. We have talked about reading comprehension. We have focused on reasoning based questions, assumptions, and today you and I are going to focus on paragraph based questions. Jyoti tells us sectionals में 1 mark आया आज. Oh, I can understand, यार, that can be very disheartening at times, but then that's the essence of preparation, right? It tells you that you need to be wiser with your question selection, and it also tells you that there is a long road ahead of us at this moment, right? So let's go ahead and begin, where eventually, no matter where you start from, even if you scored 1 mark today, we know that our goal remains 99 percentile, and this 99 percentile requires us to have this particular range of scores. Of course, it varies, it changes depending upon the difficulty level, but this is where we want to go over the next 150 days of preparation. तो आप और मैं मिलकर के साथ में तैयारी करेंगे, प्लान करेंगे और यहां तक पहुंच जाएंगे. So even if you were to start today, some of you are writing in Hindi, so I kind of responded to them. But even if you were to start today, I am very sure that this is achievable. And anybody who starts late, if that person is not comfortable with VARC, then that is where some challenges, some struggles, some issues can occur. Okay, so let's begin. So in verbal ability, we get 4 distinct question types. All the 4 for the last decade or so have been paragraph based. So I am going to test you on these 4 in our session together. Okay, so let's begin. So here is your first question. So just to give you the idea, right below the question number, it tells you the question type. In case you don't know this type, in case this is your first time meeting it, do let me know and I'll elaborate. Otherwise, we can straight away go ahead and start practicing. So here you go. You have a best summary question on your screen, and read the paragraph, eliminate, pick up the best answer, and then we'll go ahead and talk. When do we plan to start the comeback series? We'll start that as well. I mean, comeback requires falling down fast. So that's a series that would typically start after Okay, so loads and loads of us have gone on to share C as the answer, and rightly so. The time is also almost up. So let's go ahead and start our discussion. So in a best summary question, the journey always starts off by reading the paragraph. So the paragraph says, the great American novel enters the public domain on January 1, 2019, quite literally. Okay. Now, did you notice that it says the great American novel, capital letters? So it tells you that it is the name of a particular, a specific book. Saying not the concept. That is why, not the concept. So you can think of great American novel as a concept, as an idea, as an ideology. We are not talking about the idea, but the literal book by William Carlos Williams. It will be joined by hundreds of thousands of other books, musical scores, and films, first published in the United States during 1923. It is the first time since 1998 for a mass to shift to the public domain of material protected under copyright. So, this is where the language became a little iffy. So, what this paragraph says is that after 1998, 2019 is the second opportunity, second year when we have a very large chunk of material entering the public domain, which was earlier copyrighted. Okay. So let's check A. Throughout the 20th century, changes in copyright law. So you notice the moment we talk about changes in copyright law, that becomes addition. Led to longer periods of protection. That's again addition. Without both a registration and a renewal, not even mentioned in the paragraph C, for the first time in 2 decades, a huge number of books, films, and other works will escape US copyright law. At least nothing wrong. Does it capture the entire summary in a succinct manner? No. But at least, unlike A and B, which have additions, B does not have that addition. C does not have that addition. D, when a work's copyright expires, it enters the public domain. If you compare, C is definitely better, and that is why C is the answer. So now that I have you warmed up, so Yamini, is the main idea here to tell us that when a work's copyright expires, it enters the public domain? Is that the main idea here? Or the main idea is that in 2019, a lot of works which were earlier copyrighted are going to enter the public domain. It's happening after 1998. So between C and D, which one is closer? Okay, so that is by C. So now that I have you warmed up, let's go ahead and check this particular question. Let's start. And Anjali, I'll answer your query in a little while. Priyam, I should have a parajumble or two. We'll go ahead work on that too. Let's see. And when we work on that, we'll go ahead and discuss it. All right. So we are through with the first 80 seconds. Now, in fact, 100 seconds And I'm getting A as an answer from a lot of people. Okay. All right. So our time's up. Let's see. So let's start here. The Jain vegetarian diet is one of the most rigorous forms of spiritually motivated diet on the Indian subcontinent and beyond. So spiritually motivated is that your spirituality has played a big role in deciding what kind of things you're going to eat. The Jain cuisine is completely vegetarian. So cuisine generally refers to the different dishes which are part of a particular religion or geographical area, right? So the Jain cuisine is completely vegetarian and also excludes onions, potatoes and garlic, all the tubers. Jain objections to the eating of meat, fish and eggs are based on the principle of non-violence, ahimsa. Every act by which a person directly or indirectly supports killing or injury is seen as an act of violence, hinsa, which creates harmful reaction karma. The aim of ahimsa is to prevent the accumulation of such karma. I think as Indians, we are more or less fairly familiar with this idea, right? In case you want me to dive deeper, let me know and I can. So let's see. So A says Jains are very particular about their food habits and they always stay away from certain foods like onions and garlic, which are both root vegetables. This is the path of ahimsa that prevents the accumulation of harmful karma. Okay, now tell me, this entire part, does this tell you that Jain diet is vegetarian? Does it tell you that it is vegetarian? It says that they are particular about their food habits. That's it. Does it say that it's vegetarian? And then it says that they stay away from things like onion and garlic. Now, so one very important thing which is missing, the term that we use in best summary for that is deletion, is the fact that their diet is vegetarian. Then it contains an addition. Does the paragraph use the term root vegetables for onion and garlic? Or have we chosen to bring it in on the basis of our GK? And now, do you want me to go ahead and dive into something really very subtle? Really very fine? The Jain vegetarian diet. So the Jain vegetarian diet basically means a diet according to the principles of Jainism. A vegetarian diet based on the principles of Jainism. Now, tell me something. Does this mean that Jains eat Jain vegetarian diet? It gives us the detail of Jain vegetarian diet. Does that mean that the Jains eat Jain vegetarian diet? So, Jain vegetarian diet is very particular. Are Jains very particular? Do they eat this diet? That's again something that you cannot really be very sure of. Gola wale, when you shun something, you avoid something. You stay away from something. So, you notice the problems with A. It can still turn out to be the best answer choice. We don't know. Let's look at B. Jains are strict adherents of vegetarianism. Do we know that? Jain vegetarian diet adheres to vegetarianism. Do Jains adhere to that? We don't know. That's not given in the paragraph. And then the Mahavir's teaching part is very clearly an addition. See, Jain diet comprises only select vegetarian food items, right? And they shun the rest. So, there are some specific vegetarian food items which are a part of Jainism, and then there are the rest of them which are not used. So as to follow, and why do they do that? So as to follow the path of non-violence or ahimsa, so as to avoid certain kind of harmful karma. I mean, slightly clumsy writing, repeating so as to, but then you do that because you want to follow the path of non-violence, and that allows you to avoid, notice, certain kind of harmful karma. Which kind? The kind of reaction karma that you get from harming something else. Not all harmful karma, a particular type. Whereas another problem with A was that it talks about all the types of harmful karma, as if all types of harmful karma comes to you only through diet. So, see that? So, there are these differences. So, can C be improved? Absolutely yes. I think this or ahimsa can be removed so as to can be rephrased. But when you compare these two, C is a clear winner. D, most of the Jains define ahimsa as not eating meat. Easy to rule out, and that is why you guys did not pick it up. So, between A and C, C is the better one. A has a lot of problems, but those problems become apparent only when we read it closely, only when we understand it well. So, with that, now that we've gone through a couple of best summary questions, let me take you through this next question type. It's called paragraph odd sentence out. What do we mean by this? In this question, the examiner gives us 5 sentences. 4 of them belong to the same paragraph. 1 does not. So, the one that does not belong to the paragraph is supposed to be chosen, is supposed to be marked as our answer. So, you have those 5 sentences on the screen. Let's go ahead and start our work on this. Yes, Chaitali, we definitely have marathons, absolutely. Ah, you're not supposed to solve the Parajumble. You're supposed to choose the odd one out. So don't spend time thinking of arranging the other sentences. Just look at which one of these is likely to work. Okay, so our time's up. Let's go ahead and start our work. So first up, we read all the sentences and we understand them. That goes without saying. So let's begin there. Cricket mania in India is really a very urban phenomenon. They're saying that in India, there are people who are crazy about cricket, but this craziness is primarily an urban phenomenon. That is, you find this craziness only in the, no, I shouldn't say only, predominantly in the cities. Then second, sports thrive as mass modes of entertainment only when there are masses to pay for them, and urban areas are where the money is. All right. So I see a very generic thing. It says that sports become mass entertainers when you actually have a lot of people willing to pay for the sports. And the urban area is where the money is. So urban areas are where the money is. Okay. But that is not the whole story. All right. Fourth, football was the first sport to be professionalized in Britain, and it is also the most popular sport there, way ahead of cricket. So now this suddenly gives us some information about Britain. It says that football was the first one that became a professional sport, and it's also the most popular there. It's way ahead of the cricket in terms of popularity. Then fifth, this itself says a lot. So that's, we know, as a clue. For India's urban phenomenon is huge and will soon be roughly half the country's total numbers. All right. So I see that there is a sentence that talks about cricket mania in India. I see a sentence that talks about Britain. I don't really see any connection. So we'd go ahead and look at the Parajumble kind of things and see if we can start connecting these sentences with each other or with one another. So this can get connected to first, right? Cricket mania in India is really a very urban phenomenon. So this itself says a lot. For India's urban phenomenon is huge. So we can connect 1 with 5 thanks to this urban phenomenon bit along with the this. Then I can put in 3 and 2 after this. But that is not the whole story. So 1 and 5 combined tell us that cricket is an urban phenomenon in India, cricket mania. But that is not the whole story. Sports thrive when there are masses, and urban area is where the money is. So the next part, so 3 and 2 can combine together and give you the next part of the story started in 1 and 5, and that is cricket also is set to attract, is poised to attract a lot of money, which can make it a true mass entertainer. Whereas, where do I fit in fourth? So all of these are talking about the story of cricket mania in India. Suddenly we are talking about the first sport that became professional in Britain, and that the fact that it is way ahead of the of cricket doesn't even make sense. And therefore, fourth should be the answer. Okay, I forgot to answer Anjali earlier. Anjali asked, when should I start writing the mocks? The easy answer is today. You can start writing the mocks today. But if you want a more nuanced answer, then I'll say that you definitely must start writing the mocks when you are done with 70% of your syllabus. You can write the mocks even sooner, provided you are mentally tough. Okay, so that's all right. So with that, here is the next one. I think Parajumble is my weakness. Jigyanshu, don't worry. We'll just start working on those questions a little more. So until then, here is one more paragraph odd sentence out for you to solve. Let's go ahead, work on this, and then we'll talk. Okay, so we have options coming in. So which one are we choosing? 5, 4. Anurag says, please explain question number 3, option 4. Well, the other 4 could be put under the same theme, the theme of the story of cricket mania in India. So there are two aspects to it. First, urban phenomenon. Second, that is because urban areas is where the money is, it's also going to become a mass market entertainer. How would you fit 4? Okay, so let's start. Let's go ahead and look at this. So we've gotten 2, we've gotten 4, we've gotten 5. Plenty of different answers coming in. So let's begin. Project managers are expected to successfully bring their projects to fruition while keeping a tight rein on budgets and schedules. So what do you see being mentioned in this sentence? Can I say that the first sentence talks about the expectations from project managers? Okay, then let's look at second. Training should be conducted to impart technical knowledge to the project managers. It talks about a specific type of training given to the project managers. Third, in order to fulfill the requirement of time, cost and quality, a project manager needs to acquire a set of skills to help him to manage the project and solve a variety of problems during the implementation of the project. Now you notice, what are they supposed to achieve? Predetermined quality within budget, within time. So the requirement of time, cost and quality. So project managers are expected to adhere to time, cost and quality requirements. These requirements mean that they need to acquire a set of skills. So I see 1 and 3 getting linked to each other very easily, which means that both of these can then be ruled out. Okay. Then fourth, the project manager is truly the heart and soul of a project. Fifth, these skills can be divided into 2 categories, which are hard skills and soft skills. So these skills. So you also have fifth getting connected. So now you need to essentially choose between 2 and 4 and now think which one of the 2 should we choose. If I put 2, where would I put 2? Now, if 2 comes into this paragraph, it has to come after 5. It cannot come before 5, right? But then how would you go from 5 to 2? How do we reach technical knowledge? Because when you look at 3 and 5, we are not talking about knowledge, we are talking about skills. So how do you connect? How do you transition from skills to knowledge? So we can put 2 after, but then it doesn't make any sense. There is no coherence or logic here. On the other hand, when I look at 4, I can put 4 at the beginning. So see, project manager is heart and soul. He is expected to do this. In order to do this, he needs to acquire some skills. These skills can be divided across 2 categories. So 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 3 and 5 are getting connected. 2 is not fitting anywhere in this particular set of 4 sentences. It's not getting linked to any of the other 4. And therefore, you'd go ahead and mark 2 as our answer. So, Pallavi, you're right. When you say, I won't call it metaphorical. I mean, it's a general statement. Does it use metaphors? Absolutely, yes, it does use metaphors. But it can still be put at the beginning of this paragraph. So, 1, 3 and 5, once we locked on to that, you'd realize that between 4 and 2, 4 still has a strong rationale. Okay. So, with that, let me now dive into our next question, which is a parajumble. So you said, some of you said that this is something that I'm not comfortable with. So why don't you give it a try, and then we can work on this together. In the process, we'll go ahead and review the approach. Shoot. All right, so a lot of people have gone on to share their take. I gave you a fair bit of extra time as well. Let's go ahead and work on this then. Shall we? So, when we solve parajumbles, we basically treat them as if it were a puzzle. We may need to make these 4 sentences sit in a particular order, in a particular sequence. Let's begin. So, 500,000 may sound like a lot of buffalo. And it is when compared to the fewer than 1,000 that barely survived the intense hide hunting of the late 19th century. Hide hunting is where you hunt where you hunt the buffaloes for their leather. If a bison could write a history of the Great Plains, bison is an animal, it's cattle, it's like a cow or a buffalo. If a bison could write a history of the Great Plains from his own perspective, it would undoubtedly read very much as does Dan O'Brien's Great Plains Bison. I mean, such a huge praise. So there is a person who wrote Great Plains Bison. So it's in all likelihood about the bison that is found in the Great Plains. They're saying if the bison itself could write, this is what he would write or it would write. If the animal itself could write, this is what it would write. So basically, it shows that the author dug really deep. That the author has done a phenomenal and outstanding job of writing about the bisons found in the Great Plains. The third, before the slaughter, you notice the slaughter. Slaughter is to kill somebody, murder somebody. So before the slaughter, estimates have suggested that up to 100 million buffalo roamed the plains, but O'Brien, so Dan O'Brien, or O'Brien. So I already know on the basis of this that 3 should come after 2. We cannot put it before 2. It tells us that the current consensus estimates a little over a third of that number. Okay. This survey begins 13,000 years ago when the ancestors of today's buffalo crossed the Bering Strait land bridge, and ends with a list of Great Plains preserves and parks where part of today's 500,000 bison live. Now tell me, that's one clue. Today's 500,000 bison live. 500,000 may sound like a lot of buffalo. So you notice this connection between 4 and 1. Then this survey. Now, when I read sentence 2, I was like, this is essentially what a book. But then it need not be a book. It can be a research paper. It can be a survey. So this ties in with 2. So I have 2 plus 4. We already have 4 plus 1. So now the question is, where does 3 go? 3 cannot come before 2, and right after 2 we have put 4 and 1. So 3 automatically goes at the end. So the correct sequence here is 2, 4, 1 and 3. So if this is not your answer, then you need to check what is it that you missed. For instance, if you put 2 after something other than, if you put sentence 4 after 1 or after 3, then this, what does this refer to then? Moreover, 500,000 may sound like a lot of buffalo. If you want to say 500,000 may sound like a lot of buffalo, you need to first and foremost give that number 500,000, which is here. So there are quite a few clues which were scattered around this particular paragraph, and if we could not arrive at this sequence, then we perhaps did not use or appreciate those clues. Okay. So let me see. So some of us have picked up, some of us have started with 1. That's very surprising. So there you go. Okay. So some of us were very significantly away from this number. So I hope they will start following a more proper, more appropriate method. Here you go. Here is a para completion. So I'm not giving you a sentence placement today, but the exam has used para completion in the past too. When you notice you have a paragraph with a blank, you are supposed to pick up the best sentence from the given answer choices for that blank, and your time starts now. Okay. Is it D, B, C? So I think except for A, I notice all the answer choices have been picked up or used by people. So let's start. First up, let us read what the paragraph is about. Scientists have unveiled plans to genetically engineer a lethal strain of bird flu to understand how it could mutate in nature and trigger a catastrophic pandemic. Makes you think of COVID, right? The controversial experiments are expected to make the H7N9 virus more virulent and increase its ability to spread between people. But researchers argue the work is crucial for public health because it will drive research into drugs and vaccines and help identify dangerous mutations to watch out for in the wild. So, what is this paragraph talking about so far? It is talking about the proposal of certain scientists. What do we know? What else do we know? We know that this proposal is controversial. Controversial because it is making a virus more dangerous. But then the scientists have also shared their reason in order to counter the controversy. Right? So, Neeru, there are no cons of experiment. There are certain doubts or objections against the experiment by some individuals. Fair enough? Okay. So let's start. So nobody has chosen A, so I'm ruling it out. B, but the details of the experiments, if leaked, could help terrorists create lethal virus as bioweapons. Can I put it here in this blank? I can. But then, considering that the rest of the paragraph is talking about a proposal and why that proposal should be done, why that proposal should be justified, does it make sense to put it here? I mean, come to think of it, we are talking about the fact that it is controversial. So this is a sentence that connects with this particular idea. It's getting connected to this idea, but then this idea has already been countered. So that's number one. And number two is something really very fine. Right before the blank, you have a sentence that starts with but. Is it okay to start another sentence with but immediately after? But the scientists are saying this, but if it is leaked. So if you want to move back to this, then you need to prove that their concern is not legitimate, that their rebuttal is not effective, that the concerns remain. So I can continue by saying something like, so even though the scientists assure us that it is useful, the doubts or the concerns remain, for instance, then you can talk about this. So structurally slightly odd. Then C, the pandemic risk rises exponentially should these viruses acquire the ability to transmit readily among humans, they say. It can definitely continue this thought because what are we talking about here? Dangerous mutations. So, those dangerous mutations basically lead to what? Pandemic risks, right? And therefore, this discussion, this point becomes more effective, so can work. D, scientists already track mutations in bird flu viruses found in patients, but this kind of surveillance does not give health authorities time to respond if they find a pandemic strain. How does it connect with this sentence? D says that, hey, mutations are already being tracked in among patients, and then we are talking about a shortcoming of that method of tracking the mutations among patients. Whereas here we have moved towards talking about the positives of this method. So, I mean, if you want to continue, you'd continue talking about the positives or the inadequacy of the positives. This does not connect with any of those and therefore can be ruled out. So, the best answer that we have here is option C. And with that, let's hit pause here today and I'll sign out. But before I sign out, we have a special event planned for 27th of June where I'll see you along with the rest of our team at 7 p.m. So if you are somebody who is targeting CAT 26 and you're not very sure of how to prepare and you're nervous and you're thinking about, am I too late? Is it the right time? Then do join us at this same channel, and we'd love to talk to you and share more things with you. And in between, if there are some other things that you want to talk to me about, you can always reach me using this Telegram group. And before I sign out, hey, here's a lovely state of mind called Meraki. Says it means to do something with passion, with devotion, with undivided attention. So here, wishing you a lot more Meraki moments in your life so that you are able to move towards greater success. Okay, so that's where I stop today. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep working hard and don't forget to tune in at 7 p.m. on 27th so that we can continue this discussion. Take care. See you. Have fun. Wow, Atarv, that's